All right, Mark here. Thank you for watching another Greenbridge Investing market analysis. So as you can see, the title today focuses on the cannabis sector because I noticed some interesting activity there that I want to highlight. Of course, we're going to be going over Bitcoin, the major markets, and stocks that you'd like to see as well. During these sessions, I just want to emphasize basically like one main point, and today's point is the cannabis sector. So let's get this started. So this is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. Now, for those of you that are new to Greenbridge, make sure you check out our website at greenbridgeinvesting.com. Also, make sure you like the channel and subscribe to our channel here so that as I do these, you continue to get the email notifications from YouTube. Now, if you have questions about particular markets that you'd like to see, please put them in the channel now so that once I'm done with my initial analysis, then I can go over your symbols. All right, so as you can see, I have Bitcoin here, but we're not going over Bitcoin first. We're going to be going over the pot stocks first, okay? So let's begin with CGC. I was looking through my charts today and I was like, what is going on here? Now, yesterday, I spotted this I spotted this pin bar right here and I was like, but by the time I saw it, it was like, these things are a pain anyway, so I'll just mention it tomorrow. And then when I take a look at this thing today, it's the buy trigger is in play, right? You can't chase something like this, but here's why I'm bringing this up. First of all, we reached an important support level, that 15.5 yesterday on CGC. And it was an old resistance. Price has been fooling around above that area since, and it's been consolidating. These cannabis stocks are like a forgotten sector. You don't hear much about them anymore. No one makes a big deal about them anymore. And that's usually where opportunities are, okay? In sectors that are basically forgotten about. Everyone's too busy chasing, Roku and chasing JMIA and all that other nonsense, but that's how they miss these. So not only do we have this bullish candle today, which again, you can't chase this, but perhaps next week, maybe this will pull back a bit because again, these are noisy and we can still get another opportunity to take a swing trade in something like this. But what I like about it is it's taking out this minor resistance here at this 1708. Okay, I mean, right now we're at 1705. The high is 1709. So that's a nice attempt. And I'm expecting this thing to close on its high. So this is a great sign for these stocks, especially since CGC, or Cannabis Growth, is the best in its sector, okay? Now, this thing has decent potential. Why am I bringing this up for a swing trade? Well, your risk can be measured by this 15.5, or so we'll just say 15 even area, okay? Or maybe 14.5 if you want to give it a little bit more room. These things are a pain. But the reward, let's look at the reward potential. First, you have this gap that has not been filled, right? The gap has been acting as a resistance. The high part of that gap, the high part of the range is basically $20, okay? So you're looking at, what are we fooling around? $17 basically, right? So $3 is at least as a minimum target. That's a reasonable target. So you're risking maybe 1.5 to make 3. That makes sense in terms of reward risk. Now, if these things start to gain momentum again and they gain favor, and next thing you know, you see the CEOs being interviewed on TV, well, then you get the breakout, right? And that's when the herd jumps in. There's a lot of herd mentality going on right now. I was looking at a bunch of different things like, wow, I cannot believe, but it makes sense. With all this, because of the current situation that we have in the world, a lot of people don't have jobs and this and that. So they're looking for something to do. And that's a lot of fresh and uninformed money coming to the market. That's why there's so much opportunity. Okay, markets that have no opportunity are markets where there's no new money coming in or a lot less coming in. It's just like a poker table. Why do a lot of professional poker players go to Vegas to become a professional? Or why do they go there to make a living? It's because you get a lot of tourists who come in and they don't know what they're doing at those poker tables. So those are easy targets to make money off of. It's the same idea here. In fact, I saw one video. I'm going to move on, but I saw one video where I watched a particular day trading firm talk about how they use information or data from Robinhood to help make their decisions on some particular trades, which meaning the Robinhood data represents the retail trader or uninformed money, and they're capitalizing on it. That just goes to show you, okay, Robinhood. And people give me a hard time for making fun of Robinhood traders. But hey, I'm not the only one that thinks that. So anyway, CGC. Now, I'd like to, I'm looking to call a swing trade in one of these perhaps early next week. I'm not going to do it now. We have about an hour left. Let's take a look at Cronos. All right, this is the other one, CRON. And look at this, same situation. Now keep in mind, they all follow each other, right? So yeah, Robinhood represents the uninformed trader. If you're on Robinhood and you're listening to this, I'm sorry, but not you, Ricky, but you may get someone who, I'm a Robinhood trader, I know what I'm doing. No, if you're on Robinhood, most likely you don't know what you're doing. So, because professional traders don't use Robinhood, and you have to understand what you're competing against. So, anyway, look at this. Cronos, double bottom situation. Same deal as CGC. You got this bullish pin bar the day before. It took out the high. That's technically a buy signal. And this is a higher low. No, I know, Ricky. No, I know. It's a good thing you're not. And so we got this double bottom situation here. You got this lower high. Now, this whole consolidation, if you look at the broader structure, and this is what's important, and this is what we point out a lot to our members, because we want you to be confident with these things. And Alice the other day put a chart, I think it was Marvel, MRVL, and it was a very nicely done analysis, which he's learned a lot from what we've taught him, and it was really nice to see that. Now, my point is this structure right here, that's a very bullish structure, and we're consolidating from that. This double bottom situation is nothing more than a higher low within the context of a broader bullish structure. So again, I like it. And Cronos is inexpensive. I mean, this thing is what, $6.30 or whatever. So CGC goes, this thing can go. Again, the reward risk is very attractive. Where are you measuring your risk from? This low, 582. So you figure you give it a little more room, maybe 5.25. Okay. So you're looking at maybe what, $1.50 of risk, perhaps, something like that from current prices. And again, I'm hoping that next week we get some noise, because these things, again, they don't just follow through nicely. Perhaps we get some noise and we'll get a better opportunity to get in. I'd rather get in on a Monday anyway rather than a Friday. But the point is, what's the potential? So again, the nearest resistance on this thing is $8. So, 6.5 to 8, that's not too bad. That's about maybe around 1-to-1 reward risk, and that's the minimum, right? If this thing breaks out, typically we have a higher low, often those lead to higher highs. If you get a higher high in this, meaning CGC would obviously have to be leading this group, you're looking at maybe, what, $10 or perhaps even higher, okay? Around there, like the 9s and the 10s. So there's some decent potential. And like I said, this is a forgotten sector. So when the herd piles in, when all those Robinhood traders pile in, who do you think you're selling it to, right? They see some news, they're all piling in, and you're selling it to them, right? That's the position we want to be in, not buying the breakout. And I'm going to show you JMIA in a moment, which is a great example of the herd mentality. So that's Cronos. Now here's the other one, TLRY, Tilray. Remember, these were a year and a half ago or whatever, these things were nuts, right? These things were, especially this one. This thing went to like, what, 200 and something dollars? And look, I mean, look at this. If I zoom back here, it's ridiculous, okay? Look at this. I mean, look at this. I can't even fit it out. Look at this. Look at this. It's ridiculous, right? That's the herd mentality. So here we are now at the bottom. And the thing with this is it may not look as nice as the other two we just examined. But look what we have here. First of all, nice, decent. This is a decent attempt, right? Bullish attempt. It's not as nice as Chronos, but still, it's decent. You have this double bottom situation relative to this low over here, which is what? 675. And more importantly, you have a higher low. I like this. I like this higher low. And you took out this yesterday's high. So higher lows. This is a mini higher low on top of a broad double bottom situation. Okay, these are nice high probability setups. Now, I know the sector's hated. I know I even hesitated to use the cannabis sector even in the headline because like no one wants to hear about them because they've been so uneventful. Okay, but I see the technical patterns. I have to say something. So here's the thing. I mean, if no one wants to listen to it, that's cool. But, you know, we're probably going to, I'm bringing these up right now because there's some interesting signs here. I like these technical signs. I know the fundamentals aren't that great in this sector. That's why it's gotten so beaten up. But usually the technicals turn first. And like I said, opportunities are often in places that are quiet. People aren't paying attention to, right? If this thing was pushing $12 and we'll all be sitting there, oh, how did I miss this? Oh, we got to wait for a pullback now. Well, here's the pullback and here's the structure to get long. So again, I'm looking to call a swing trade in one of these. All right, maybe it'll be Tilray because I do like this higher low situation. The reward risk is the same across all of them. I mean, it's pretty attractive across all of them. Keep in mind, if you want to compare them fundamentally, CGC is the best of all these. I mean, they have the best fundamental situation. They have the most money behind them and all that other stuff. Of course, it's more expensive than these two. So just something to keep in mind. I want you to put these on your radar. We're going to be talking about these more next week in the chat room. And like I said, I will pick one and we'll look for a swing trade in one of these. Why not all three? Because it's all the same trade, right? We want to always keep an eye on our risk. We don't want to get caught, especially if this market, you know, this market's in a very vulnerable position. Now, these pot stocks obviously don't really follow the market, so I'm not too worried about a broad pullback and you know, having to deal with this getting hammered as a result, okay? So just something to keep in mind. Sure, no problem. We're going to take a look at that. All right, so that's my cannabis talk. Just want to run it by you guys. If you have any questions about these, let me know. All right, now let's get on to our regular course of business here, and that begins with Bitcoin. Let's take a look at that real quick. I'm going to run through Bitcoin, and then you know, we'll take a look at the euro, take a look at gold. I want to take a look at JMIA. So let's start here with Bitcoin, right? So what did I put in the chat room yesterday about Bitcoin? Bitcoin had this red candle, not looking so great. Now remember, we sent out a swing trade at 92.25. Okay. Now again, for those of you that might be watching this, you know, afterwards, if you're new to Greenbridge, please make sure you check out our website at greenbridgeinvesting.com. I keep referring to these swing trades. These are trades that we share by text and by email for our members of our website. Okay, so we send out a text with all the information on it, the buy stop, the stop loss, the targets, and all that stuff. But these are swing trades. I know everyone wants a lot of action, and there's a lot of stuff going on right now with this constant action, but we're all about high probability and long-term consistency. All right, it's a little bit of a different angle, and it's also, you know, you don't have to be on top of your computer every 5 minutes. But anyway, let's get back to Bitcoin here. So we had this situation. We sent out that trade at 92.25. It triggered, right? And a bunch of people are in it. Now we talked about the pros and cons about this situation. For one, that trade came off of this range low. There's been buying activity off the range low with these tails. We saw that. The main support in play is 8,500. We haven't touched it. Okay, cool. Those are all good signs. Now, some of the cons, 95.64 to 10.168, tough resistance. Hasn't broken it yet. In fact, when this red candle formed, what do you think you see across Twitter or some of these other social platforms? Oh, Bitcoin's in a bear trend. Bitcoin's going to 3,000 and I'm going to short the whole way there. Okay, lower highs everywhere. Don't pay attention to it, please. There's no trend here. In fact, when you look at the bigger picture, this is a consolidation, right? Now, let me ask you this. So for those of you that have been watching, I know Ricky knows the answer to this question. What is this candle? What is today's candle? I mean, it still has time to close, but it's most likely going to close in this configuration, right? We still have a few hours. But what kind of candle is that? Who can tell me? For those of you that are watching, what kind of candle is this? Right? So I know this is a little bit of a delay here, so I'm going to answer for you. By the time I answer, I'll probably see your answers. This is a bullish pin bar. And this is not what a bearish trend produces, especially near a high probability support area. So for people that keep insisting that this is a short, all you're doing is getting yourself more and more into trouble. Now, so this is good for us because it keeps luring in shorts. And when enough of them get lured in, and when they all have to stomp over each other to get out of the trade, right? When they get squeezed, then that's going to be a nice breakout, all right? Like I said, when we saw these bullish candles, we don't know if this is the bullish leg, right? We don't know if this is going to be the breakout leg. There's no way to know. Now, all we know is the probability of the location is in our favor, and the reward risk is in our favor. Even if we get stopped out of this trade, we will get back in on the next buy signal. We will keep buying it because at some point it's going to break out, and we want to be part of that as a swing trade when it breaks out. Now, here's another thing I want to show you. The length of this consolidation is a factor in the size of the breakout. If you measure this thing lengthwise and you project it higher, that's actually a proportional target. There is a relationship there. Now, why is that? It's because half of this population is on the wrong side of the trade, okay? And they have to get out. So you have all the shorts getting out, getting squeezed or getting margined or stopping out. On top of, you have all the herd members jumping in, buying the breakout. So when you get that combined, that's when you get that big move. Buying that big move is very hard because you don't know if it's going to fake out that time. You want to be in from a good price, right? Where we're in from. We buy those high probability areas, those high reward risk areas. And when it breaks out, we're a strong hand. And all we do is sit back and let it go to its targets. All right. And we have a lot more flexibility. We can reduce our position. We can do whatever, right? Like gold recently. Anyway, so that's Bitcoin. The point is there's nothing to do here, but let this thing do its job. The more you can stay out of the trade, right? The more you can keep yourself out of the trade, the better. All right. So that's Bitcoin. Any questions, please let me know. Now, given this almost 3 months consolidation, would you expect the breakout to be? Yeah, so yeah, Ricky, basically, yeah. So like I said, I just answered that question basically with what I was explaining. So yeah, when this thing breaks out, I mean, the targets, I was doing some analysis, and some reasonable targets based on this consolidation is around 13,000. Okay, now I'm not saying it's going to go there in one day, but when you get that breakout, it's likely, you know, over a week, maybe a week and a half, 2 week period, perhaps a month, it can reach 13,000. That's within proportion. All right. If things really get out of hand, it can go further, obviously, but you would need a catalyst to drive everyone crazy, you know, just like we have going on in all these other stocks. You need some kind of news to really get that herd mentality going. That's what drives the trend. Okay. But anyway, so yeah, so nothing to do there, but hold on. This is also going to be a big benefit for people that hold Ethereum, people that hold Litecoin, because they all should follow. Even some of those garbage altcoins, which, you know, I'd like to talk more about, like Cardano and all those. I'm planning on doing some more research on those and just presenting more of those because, you know, there could be some opportunities there, but we're just not a big fan as far as really trying to hold on to them for that broad move. But like I said, if there's opportunities, we want to know about them. So anyway, Bitcoin's in good shape, and it is the leader of the sector. Now, let's take a look real quick at the NASDAQ 100, right? And then I'll get into that euro, Ricky. And I really appreciate you guys spending the time with me here and asking questions. It's really, I like to see that. Oh, what's that? Oh, another cannabis stock. I clicked on that by mistake. Okay, look at that. Wow, why are we not in this one? I got to talk to Andrew. Anyway, okay, so let's take a look at the NASDAQ 100, NSX USD. Now look at this. So this has just been nonstop. Okay. Yeah, I know. I've been hearing about that link. Yeah, I've been hearing about some of these. So I'm definitely going to be looking to put some more of those on the radar, at least one or two of them, you know. So anyway, look at this thing. This thing has just been relentless, right? We had this bearish candle earlier in the week, and we even took a short IWM call on that, which we had to close out, you know, as an aggressive trade. This thing just refuses to pull back, okay? And you could thank maybe the FANG stocks or whatever the reason is. It's interesting. But like I wrote in an analysis that I sent over to another website, the higher this thing goes, the greater the risk of retrace. So I can't sit here and predict, oh, you know, this is going to be the top. I can't do that. Who knows? This thing can just keep going. It can do whatever it wants to do. The thing is, I know that the further it goes, the greater that chance it's going to pull back. And I'm not calling it. It's important that it's clear. I'm not calling for a bear market, and I'm not calling for a trend reversal. I mean, it will take a lot to reverse this trend. So what I am looking for though is a retrace. Like we've had some minor. These are minor retraces. When you get a very pronounced move like this, a lot of times when it gives it back, it gives the whole thing back, right? Because a lot of this is hot air. So that's what you have to be careful of. We've been buying stocks along the way here. We've been rotating out and this and that. We've missed a lot of stocks too. But you can't go nuts buying into this. There's a lot of froth now, and there's a lot of herd mentality. I've gotten people asking me, people that have no business being involved in stocks, okay? People that I know, asking me, hey, you know, I've just been getting into stocks, and I was wondering if you can, you know, help me out with. You're getting into stocks now? Now you're buying? You're excited about stocks? Where were you back here, or here, or here, or here, here? So that's a sign, right? You have to be careful of that. There's an old saying, like if you go to get a shoe shine and the shoe shiner there is giving stock tips, or your barber is giving stock tips, that's usually a sign of a top. Now that's a sentiment thing, and that's what you have to be careful of here. When everyone gets complacent, that's usually a peak, but there's nothing on the chart that's going to tell us that, and that's what we have to be careful of. And that's what I'm telling our members in the chat room. Don't feel safe. You know, you want to take trades, you want to take buy signals, and you want to, you know, manage your risk carefully with smaller size, taking smaller bites. Hey, no problem. Take advantage of the situation, but just be prepared. When this thing turns, it will most likely come out of nowhere. Okay, and you don't want to get caught overexposed. It's a very common mistake, right? What do all those Robinhood traders do? They start buying everything because everything just goes higher, right? So, but the stock went up 5 points. I know what I'm doing. So they just keep doing it, right? And then when this thing turns, they all get caught. And that's when the margin selling sets in and all that stuff. That's when you get that more pronounced pullback. So I know I talk a lot about this, but here's the thing. What's important to us is not trying to time that pullback. What is important is looking for those inflection points for buying opportunities. That's what we're interested in. Because another common mistake is it pulls back a little bit and people think that's a buying opportunity. Oh, now it's time to buy. You know, NASDAQ pulled back 100 points today. It's a pullback, right? Meanwhile, it has 500 more to go, okay? So that's what you have to be careful of. So we want to, they're all buying, right, Tesla, right, Nikola, and all these other herd mentality stocks. I mean, great if you're in and out of those, but if you hold on thinking like, you know, you've just made a good investment, you're going to find out soon, you know. So here's the thing, inflection points. I'm interested, and I talked about this in my previous video, right? The 10-300 area is our minor. That's an old resistance. I'm anticipating a new support there. Now that doesn't mean we just jump in. We have to wait for some sort of price confirmation to make sure that, you know, we're not the only ones buying. Because again, it may clear it. We don't know. But it is an inflection point to anticipate. The next one again is this 97.50, the previous peak. As you could see, there was some positive price action there, and this leg has continued right off of that level. So I would anticipate that traders will try again to buy there. So that's another inflection point. The key one is this one here. Okay, this 91.50. In fact, it's probably going to adjust a little higher, probably going to be around 9,200. But that is what defines this structure as bullish, the entire structure. As long as price stays above it, then we can look for longs with some level of confidence. you know, we're talking about swing trades here as a buying opportunity. But if we fail, if we bounce off of that and we get that lower high and all that other kind of stuff afterwards, then I would anticipate more of a consolidation or range-bound market. I'm not talking about in the next couple of days. I'm talking about weeks and months, you know, like especially as we're going into the election. Remember, we have an election coming up in this country, in the US, and if there is more and more uncertainty around that election, you're going to see this market go into a range. Okay, that's typical. So that's what I'm anticipating. Keep that in mind. All right, doesn't mean you can't make money in a range. You just have to understand what the potential and the risks are. All right, let's get into the next thing here. Euro. All right, let's take a look at that euro. By the way, I just want to show you real quick the dollar franc. Look at this. I'm liking that dollar franc. We may call that next week. The dollar franc's a pain, but we may call that next week as a swing trade long. All right, so let's take a look at the euro. Now, the euro, we have this swing trade from what, that 1275 or 1270 area, and it reached its first target, okay? And it's been kind of a mess since then. Now, this is a tough spot. This is a tough spot because you have a potential failed high within this consolidation, all right? But it is a consolidation, so there's a lot of conflict here. Also, the broader structure is still a higher low relative to this broader move, right? So that is still all, those are all bullish factors, okay? I don't care what the fundamentals are, but, you know, in theory, this consolidation pattern should break out higher. But now that's not the signs that we're getting from, like, if you look at the dollar Canadian, or you look at like the dollar franc, they're starting to show some support, right? Which means that that's going to be inverse. These are going to act in an inverse way. So we have to be careful here. At this point, you know, if you're still long the euro, which, you know, we are, we have to just give it a chance, right? We have this bearish candle that developed yesterday. We took out that low, but today we're just, you know, we're just holding, right? No follow through on that bearish candle. So again, we have to just give this thing a chance. If we get a clear sell signal, maybe on, you know, Monday or Tuesday, perhaps we'll call for an early exit. We don't do that very often because most of the time it's better to just stay in the trade. But if we're getting clear buy signals like on the dollar franc and all that stuff and the dollar index, then we would rather switch our risk over to that side, take a long there, and exit these, you know, this or maybe the pound. We're not in the pound, but, you know, the pound is in a similar situation. Okay, so that's to answer your question. At this point, I would just hold on. You know, we're just going to hold on and see how this thing plays out. Forex can be very tricky and very noisy, right? And you have to look at that bigger picture and play those probabilities more times than not. If you react to single candles, a lot of times you'll just get faked out. I mean, look at this bearish pin bar right here. Okay, that looked really ugly. Took out that almost, yeah, took out the low barely. If you had shorted that, saying, oh, lower high, blah, 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 this and that, whatever, you would have gotten stopped out. Okay, so that's why we have to just give this thing a chance and see how it plays out over the next few days. Remember, economic news changes this stuff really fast. So that's the euro. Let me see what else. Okay, so I don't see any other. Anyone want to see any particular markets? Any stocks? I want to talk about JMIA. JMIA. Talk about the herd mentality. Look at this thing. So we got into this thing around that $6 area. Okay. Matter of fact, a couple of weeks back when JMIA was around here, we were talking about this on our podcast. And I remember saying to Andrew, you know, why would you buy it here? So at some point, you know, we picked it up around $6 or whatever. It fooled around, and it even tested that $5 low a number of times. In fact, if you watch some of my previous videos on this channel, the ones that have JMIA in their title, we talked about JMIA. And we talked about, hey, you know, as long as it holds that $5 level, you're in good shape. And look at this. This just comes out of nowhere, right? A chart cannot help you predict this type of move. Some news, whatever, and next thing you know, it pops up on all the day trader radars, okay? And this thing made a high of, what is this? $8.93. Now, in this, Andrew sent out an email, right, during this high and said, getting out of some, because that's what you do. Take profits when you can. Now, imagine all the people that were all piling in at that high, and now they're like, well, how come JMIA is not going to $20 like that other guru was saying, or whatever, because it's the herd mentality. Now, can this thing retrace and produce another buying opportunity? Sure, I'd be interested in it, again, if it can do something like that, you know, in putting on more or whatever, but it needs to prove itself, right? A lot of times after these things have these really ridiculous runs, the party's over and the money goes somewhere else, okay? Like WKHS, Workhorse. Remember this? So Workhorse was going nuts and, you know, all this craziness. Again, the herd mentality. This thing went from like $2 or whatever to like $22. All these Robinhood traders thinking that, oh, I know how to make money, right? And here you go. Since then, if you bought the top of this thinking it's going to 30, well, now you get caught in this nonsense. And now you got to sit in this and you have to hope. And that's a bad situation to be in. That's when you are a weak hand. Now, this thing is starting to develop a support here, as we can see, right? $13.65, maybe that $14 area. It's trying, but we have to see. There's no bullish candle, right? There's no new bullish candle. And this is also, see this candle here? This is like this bullish pin bar. This is why I don't like taking the initial one so quickly or so early, because it's very tough to continue that momentum, this bullish momentum, off like that one candle. A lot of times I like to see what it's doing now, test that low again and prove itself. You don't always get this, okay? But when you do, in my opinion, it's a higher probability setup because it tests that low and it proves that, you know, there is support in there. Now, in this situation, right, we have a level. We just need the next candle to be bullish, maybe a pin bar, maybe an inside bar, and obviously it's got to take out one of these highs, 1640, and that thing can at least make an attempt at $20. It's structurally, that makes sense. It's within reason. So again, keep this on your radar because, you know, when these get beat up like this and everyone, it's out of favor and, you know, everyone's like, oh, Workhorse sucks, you know, it stopped going vertical. When they're all banging it out or getting margined out, that's when you want to buy into it. And in terms of Elliott wave, this is a nice wave 4, very clear wave 4. And usually after a wave 4, you get wave 5, which in theory should take out the high, but it doesn't always take out the high. But at least we can measure potential that way, and the reward risk makes sense. Okay, so these are some of the stocks on our radar for next week. You know, besides the pot stocks, I do like, you know, some of these inexpensive herd mentality stocks for some possible very short-term swing trades. Okay, so great, great questions, everyone. Any other questions before we wrap this up? Hey, let's take a look at Link. Let's take a look at Link, since you mentioned it there. What is that? Link against the dollar? Link USD. Oh, this is on the Gemini exchange. Well, I mean, the prices should be... Oh, yeah, gold. I forgot to take a look at gold. Sure, let's take a look. Yeah, look at this move on Link. Interesting. Herd mentality, though. I mean, you can't touch this thing right now. And like I just said, with stocks like Workhorse, I won't take this initial bullish candle. Okay, interesting though. Your first support on this thing is around, what is this? $5? $5 per coin. Interesting. All right, we'll keep an eye on that. All right, gold. How can I forget gold? Here's gold. Here's the trade. This is the trade that we're now out of. I have to take this off my chart. Reached all 3 targets. I made a video about this. No one watched it. I mean, no one, you know, I mean, our members watched it, but no one besides our members watched it because no one cares about gold. Or maybe my titles aren't interesting enough. But 1815, since then, right, look at the high. The high went to 1818, right? That's the high. We have another swing trade, a second one that was put on in this thing, which we've been in much longer. The third target was 1820. Okay, so it didn't quite reach that one, but interesting. So now gold is still clearly in a bullish trend, but now it's hesitating a bit. In fact, we have this inside bar, bearish inside bar, and the current candle's trying to take out that low. Now, this is not a trend reversal, okay? This is not a trend reversal. In fact, this could be a continuation pattern when you get these two little candles like this, especially if they're both inside and we take out this high right here next week, 1810, you may get another leg higher. So this may actually call for a very aggressive swing trade long. Perhaps next week, Monday, maybe Tuesday, something like that. I mean, fundamentally, this thing is just strong. There's no question. I don't know why anyone would sell gold. Our gold stocks, GDX, I know Andrew took a nice portion, a nice profit off of that one, locked in a nice profit. Newmont Mining, Kirkland Lake, all these stocks that we got involved in, to ride this move. This move is not over yet, okay? At least not based on these two little candles. This is not a trend reversal. This is nothing. So if it pulls back further, which, it can, if it starts taking out the lows instead, then, you're looking at your first inflection point, very similar to the NASDAQ, right? 1779, 1780 area. That would be like your first minor inflection point. Place to consider putting on a new swing trade. If that's cleared, you're looking at that 1750 area next after that. Those are the points where we're anticipating a turnaround if we don't get that swift one next week. I'm open to calling this new swing trade here, if we get it. I'm open to calling that as aggressive. We'll risk 1%, but why not? If it's worth, I'll just use maybe more conservative targets or something. Get out of it sooner because we are, pushing these highs. But gold is strong, so you want to buy something that's strong. In theory, it should keep pushing, right, until it breaks something. But until these supports are taken out, we have to just let the trend do its job. Okay, so we're not in gold. We have that 1/3 long left in Andrew's position, but my position is completely out, and I'm looking to get back in. So that's gold. All right, great instrument. If you're not in the CFD, like I said, you can get involved in GDX, Newmont, and all those other ones. The stocks are a little tougher because they don't follow this thing one-to-one. Okay, they don't follow it one-to-one. We have to get this really broad move for those stocks to really benefit. Okay, but anyway, okay, great question. All right, so that's pretty much it. I don't have anything else here. I want to thank you all for watching. Again, if you're new to Greenbridge, make sure you check out our website at greenbridgeinvesting.com, and we have a chat room there. We offer swing trade signals by text and by email. Now, again, we don't have signals every 5 minutes like everyone wants, I understand, but we're more selective with our swing trades. So, if we get 2 or 3 per week, that's probably a lot, okay? But we do our best to pick really high probability trades, setups, and the risk is defined. We give you all the orders in advance. A lot of times you have a chance to get into these trades hours before the move, or even sometimes days, sometimes. Okay. We also offer portfolio management ideas, investment ideas where we hold long-term positions in stocks. You don't see a lot of that today because no one cares. Everyone just wants quick action, which again, I understand. But when that gets hard, it gets really hard. All right, and not everyone has time to sit in front of their computer all day either, or really babysit this stuff. So that's where we come in with this. Also, we have a lot of analysis and stuff in our chat room, and we're always looking to do more educational stuff as well, which I'll be talking about soon once I get more stuff together. All right, and we'll have a new webinar as well. So I want to thank you again all for listening. If you have any questions that maybe come to you after this, or if you're watching this after the fact, come to our free chat room over at Greenbridge Investing. You can ask a question in there, and we'll be happy to follow up with that. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your Friday, and thanks again. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.